Yes. Thank you very much, Vibhaji. Thank you each and every participant who have joined today's program. So today we will conclude this most important letter according to Joy Mills, and we have gone through this letter, the importance it is given to us. So in this important letter, three things Mahatma given importance more on, particularly matter, concept of matter, particularly on God and the evils. So we will conclude mostly today this evil part. Of course, we started a little. So whatever we discussed, studied last week, let us recapitulate. Mahatma, in one of his slide, the existence of matter is a fact. Existence of motion is another fact. Then he narrated this God concept, the self-existence and eternity or indestructibility is a third fact. So there is no question of pure spirit, and it is a absurdity, Mahatma mentioned. Then Mahatma mentioned evil, no existence per se. Nature, then second, nature is destitute of goodness or malice. It is blind law of necessity and eternal fitness of things. He has given a example how a big animal taking another animal. So this small animal in the next birth, it is becoming a bigger animal. So it is a blind law of necessity and a eternal fitness of things. Then further, Mahatma mentioned real evils proceeds from human intelligence, because human being subsequently, slowly became dissociates from nature. And during COVID period, we have marked how this those who are within the nature, with nature, they don't require any medicine. And those who are without having any link, some way or other affected more by this COVID. Then further, nature never creates disease, but man, by their food, sexual relations, drink, are all created by this. All these are all natural necessities of life. Yet excess of it brings disease, misery, suffering, mental and as well as physical. Ambition in the life of a human being is a natural feelings, but ambitious, cruel tyrant, a miser, creates manifold misery on nations as well as on individuals. And now in the present Ukraine-Russian war and many parts of the world, there are many sufferings among the nations, among the individuals. Then further, Mahatma mentions food, wealth, ambition, thousand other things. We have to live many. Source and all are source and cause of evil, whether abundance and taking a lot of it, or through its absence. So what it creates, return, means who are more to take more, debauch, overindulging in sexual tyrant, and you became originator of disease, not only for yourself, Mahatma mentioned, to your followers, as well as to the country, as well. All this Mahatma mentioned. lack of all this food, wealth, ambition, thousand other things, you are despised as a nobody. Sufferer your whole life. You will suffer like this. So today we will start with the slide number 33. Yes. Lack all this, you starve. You are despised as nobody. And the majority of the your herd, your fellow man, make of you a sufferer your whole life. Huh? So, what is all that lack of all this means? Your wealth, food, ambition, and many other things. If you are not with all these things, you are despised as a nobody. Nobody will looks at you, nobody will care you, and the majority of the herd means you're a human being, whole human being, make you a sufferer your whole life. Therefore, it is neither nature nor an imaginary deity that has to be blamed, but human nature made vile by selfishness. The selfishness is the main in which you are suffering. Then we will go to the next slide. Think well over these words, Mahatma mentioned. Think well over these few words. Work out every cause of evil you can think of and trace to its origin. And you will have solved 1/3 of the problem of evil. 1/3 of the problem of evil you will solve. If we think over these few words which Mahatma has given to us in this important letter, then you will solve 1/3 of the problem of evil. Problem of evil means you have suffering, you are also suffering, also the country. So if we go to the origin of it, then you will solve this 1/3 of it. And now after making due allowance for evil that are natural and cannot be avoided, and so few are they that I challenge the whole host of Western metaphysicians to call them evils or to trace them directly to an independent cause. Then I will point out the greatest, the chief cause of nearly 2/3 of the evil that pursue humanity ever since that cause become a power. Means the misery, etc., and the source becoming power. So the people suffered because of some members, some human being creating all this problem, and it became power for them. Suppose a person who utilize your ignorance and use many things to worship the God or to take some kind of help, what will happen? So the use of ignorance by them, by that person, it is becoming power to him. So he said, ever since this cause became a power, it is religion under whatever form, in whatever nation. It is the sacerdotal caste, the priesthood, and the churches. They are using it as a power, taking benefit of our ignorance. It is in those illusions that man looks upon a sacred, that he has to search out the source of that multitudes of evil, which is the great curse of humanity and that almost overwhelms mankind. You see how Mahatma clearly given us the way in which we can overcome these evils. Ignorance created gods, ignorance created gods, and cunning took advantage of opportunity. Look at India and look at Christendom, Islam, and Judaism, fetishism, how they are misutilizing their power because of we are ignorant of it. So our ignorance created gods, and cunning means those who are very clever, they took advantage of this opportunity. Which opportunity? Because we are ignorance. The next slide. It is a priestly imposture that rendered these gods so terrible to man. They created the gods is a very terrible to man. It is religion that makes him this selfish by God. The fanatic that hates all mankind out of his own sect without rendering him any better or more moral for it. If we go through that Mahajan's letter, you will mark how Mahajan explained these points very beautiful. So the fanatics that hates all mankind out of his own sect without rendering him any better or moral for it. Mahatma clearly mentioned that if a theosophist or member of Theosophical Society can prove to the world that Theosophical Society will give better literature, better philosophy to come out of this problem, then people will accept. It is belief in God or goddess and gods that make 2/3 of humanity the slave of a handful of those who deceive them under the false pretense of saving them. A challenging sentence. It is belief in God and gods that makes 2/3 of humanity, 2/3 of the humanity, the slave of a handful of those who deceive them under the false pretense of saving them. Then next, it is not man ever ready to commit any kind of evil if he told that his god or gods demand the crime. The voluntary victim of an illusionary god, that abject slave of his crafty ministers. Using very beautiful words just to make us understand why we are accepting blindly of a few people who are utilizing our ignorance. For 2000 years, India groaned under the weight of caste system. We all Hindus, Indian people know what is the problem with caste. Still it is continuing. Brahmins alone feeding on the fat of the land. Means Brahmins are getting more and more richer by fat of the land, means by the ignorant people serving them. And today the followers of Christ and those of Muhammad are cutting each other's throats in the names of and for the greater glory of their respective myths. The same thing is going on, fighting Catholic, Protestant, Shia, Sunni, Ahmadiyas. They are fighting always among themselves also. Next slide. Remember, the sum of human misery will never be diminished unto that day when the better person of humanity destroy in the name of truth, morality, universal charity, the altar of these false gods. False gods, this handful of people utilizing our ignorance. If it is objected that we too have a temple, somebody will raise questions that you have also temples, you have also priests, etc. Then Mahatma clarified. If it is objected that we, means Mahatmas in Tibet, have temples, we too have preached that our lamas also live on charity. Let them know, Mahatma mentioned, let them know that the objects of above named have in common with their Western equivalents, but the name means namka vaste. In name, you can compare it, but the originality, there is something different. In next slide, Mahatma mentioned. Thus, in our temples, there is neither God, neither a God, means Parampita, different figures we have created, neither a God nor gods worshipped. Only the thrice sacred memory of the greatest as the holiest man that ever lived, means Lord Buddha, who is in this earth chain, in the earth planet. He became Lord Buddha, taken the Buddhahood first. So the greatest as the holiest man that ever lived. These things are in the temple of Buddhist temple, whatever name. If our lamas to honor the fraternity of the bhikkhus established by our blessed master himself, Lord Buddha, go out to be fed by the laity, the latter often to the laity means outsiders, not among the followers of Buddhist, fed by the laity, the latter often to the number of 5 or 25,000, is fed, taken care of by the Sangha, the fraternity of Lama monks. The Lamasri providing for the wants of the poor, the sick, the afflicted. Our lamas accept food, Mahatma says, accept food, never money. Lamas moving here and there, they're taking only food, no money. They will not accept money. And it is in those temples that the origin of evil is preached and impressed upon the people. In those temples, origin of evil is preached, impressed upon the people. And what is that origin of people? What is preached, impressed? Then Mahatma further in this letter mentioned that the lamas are taught the 4 noble truths. It is known as Arya Satcha, Arya Sach. Arya Sach. What is that 4 noble truth? Sorrow or suffering. We are all aware of it. Then Mahatma did not mention detail, but for our understanding, what are those hard to knowledge? Just I am adding it. The sorrow and suffering. 2, the cause of sorrow. Pain, sorrow, dukh. Then cause of sorrow. The ceasing of sorrow. Then the way which leads to the escape from sorrow. These are the 4. And this 4th one is given to us 8 noble truths that we are all our right belief, right, all these 8. Then Mahatma has mentioned the chain of causation, which is known as 12 nidana. A wheel, there are 12 spokes are there in that wheel. It is known as chain of causation or 12 nidana. Gives them a solution of the problem of the origin and destruction of the suffering. These 12 nidanas are important. Here, it just mentioned that chain of causation, like a wheel. Everybody has seen that wheel. In Konark temple, there are wheels also. So, in that 12 nidanas, Mahatma mentioned 12 nidanas which are pictured as the outer circle in the wheel of life. I have collected it from other sources, not in the Mahatma letter. So let us go through it. Describe the chain of causation by which the cycle of death and rebirth, known as Sanshara, is created. They are also known as the 12 links of dependent originations, with the basic ignorance as the first cause. Each link in the chain is both a result of the previous nidana, means causation, and the cause of the next. This sequence operates movement to movement as well as lifetime to lifetime. So there are 12 spokes in the links also they are mentioned. One is fundamental ignorance. Ignorance is the cause for which we are suffering. Then formation, sankhara. This is the Pali word they have used there, it is used. Then consciousness, vinana. Name and form, another. Then sense of faculties. Within bracket it is Tibetan or Pali words. Then contact. Then this is a next, because previous slide we have completed 2. It is 5th, means 7. Feeling or sensation. Then 6th, craving or thirst, tanha. Clinging or grasping, upadana. Becoming or worldly existence, bhava. Birth or becoming, old age and death. So this, I am repeating this 12 nidana, which is this, they are known as 12 links of dependent origination with a basic ignorance as the first cause. Each link is the chain to both the result of previous nidana and the cause of the next. So in this way, it is known as 12 nidana. Then we will go to the next important point for a little slow study, pondering over for at least 5-6 seconds. Then we will complete this chapter. This is the read the Mahabhaga. Mahabhaga is the first given when the Lord became the Buddha, Sambuddha, and tried to understand, not with the prejudiced Western mind, but the spirit of intuition and truth, what fully enlightened one says. So this first point said that while we are going through it, we should not have a prejudiced Western mind. Prejudiced Western mind means already something is within our mind, conditioned mind, Western, all these things are there. So we will be open mind. So then we can, and with that spirit of intuition, what is spirit of intuition? To learn at intuitive, not comparison. What is while we delivering lecture, some will think of it is going, it is there in the Gita, Upanishad, etc., etc. But it is a spirit of intuition, means a higher level, when above the higher mental faculty, and truth, satya. So with that, we will try to understand what fully enlightened one says, what Lord Buddha says to us. At the time, the blessed Buddha was at Uruvela, on the source of the river Naranjara. It is mentioned here, but Vibhaji mentioned something, Visrahanam. Anyway, that is river, as he rested under the Bodhi tree of wisdom after he became Sambuddha. So that is the teachings he has given to us, Lord Buddha given to us. At the end of the 7th day, having his mind fixed on the chain of causation, he spoke thus from Ignorance spring the sanskara. Ignorance being sankaras of threefold nature. That is production of body, of speech, of thought. From ignorance, this is coming up. Production of body, of speech, of thought. From ignorance. If you are ignorant, many things will happen to you. Your speech will be distorted, your thought will be self-centered, your body will be not fully awakened. So it is a threefold nature. Some explain the sankhya of threefold nature. If we are ignorant people, these three things will happen to us. From sankara springs consciousness. From consciousness springs name and form. From this spring the six regions of the six senses, the seventh being the property of but the enlightened one. So from the Sankara springs consciousness, Chetana. From Chetana springs the name and form. From this spring the six regions. Further it is mentioned that from these springs contact, from this sensation, from this springs the thirst, desire, kamatanna. From thirst, attachment, existence, birth, old age, death, grief, lamentation, suffering, dejection, despair. So everything is within that. So from ignorance, you see Mardi. From ignorance, here Mahatma mentioned what quoted Lord Buddha's text. From ignorance, everything started. Threefold production of your body, speech, and thought. From again consciousness, from consciousness springs name and form. Then six regions. And the seventh he did not mention because it is above everything. So he has not mentioned. Again, the destruction of ignorance. Then side by side, Lord Buddha, whatever he has given, Mahatma quoted, again by the destruction of ignorance. The sankaras are destroyed, and their consciousness, name and form, the six region, contact, sensation, thirst, attachment, existence, birth, old age, death, grief, lamentation, suffering, dejection, and despair are destroyed. So, if you cross this type of if you have a wisdom, then you will destroy this ignorance, then everything will be gone. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. By this whole mass of suffering will be gone. So again by the destruction of ignorance. So as a Theosophy member, they have given us, great ones given us the golden star. I am taking the last, the golden star, clean life, open mind. Then subsequently the 13 steps you will reach. The learner may climb to the temple of divine wisdom. The learner may climb to the temple of divine wisdom. When you have divine wisdom, there is no question of suffering. The cessation of the whole mass of suffering will end. So, divine wisdom means the destruction of the ignorance. Knowing this, the blessed one uttered this solemn utterance. Knowing this, the blessed one uttered this solemn utterance. Blessed one means Lord Buddha. When the real nature of things becomes clear to the meditating bhikkhu, when the real nature of things becoming clear to the meditating bhikkhu, then all his doubts fade away. Since he has learned what is that nature, what its cause. So for the member of Theosophical Society, as Leadbeater pointed out, we have lots of books for us to study, to know who we are, know thyself, how far we have crossed, how long we will travel. So to know thyself, to know who we are, so they have given us 3 gems of book: At the Feet of Master, then Voice of Silence, Light on the Path. In these 3 books, we can cross the mark, the last point. So the Bhikkhu, Mahatma mentioned Buddha Bhikkhu, and for Theosophists, those who are sincere, dedicated Theosophy members who are practicing or living the life of a Bhikkhu in this mundane world. So what will happen to him? What will happen to the member, serious student of Theosophical Society? All these doubts fade away. Since he is the learner to climb to the 13 steps to reach that divine wisdom, so he has learned what is that nature, what is its cause. Like divine wisdom, we can learn, and we don't have any doubts, and doubts will fade away, and we will know what is nature. From ignorance springs all this evil. Lord Buddha, again Mahatma quoted, from ignorance springs all the evils. We are going through that evil part in the world, not only in the world, but also within us. From ignorance springs all the evils. From knowledge comes the cessation of that mass, this mass misery. Knowledge is not intellectual knowledge, knowledge is pragya, wisdom, intelligence, Krishna, according to Krishnamurti, intelligence. From that comes the cessation of this mass misery. Then the meditating Brahman, means bhikkhu or a devoted or sincere member of Theosophical Society, stands dispelling the host of Mara, like the sun that illuminates the sky, like the sun illuminates the sky. Meditation here means superhuman qualities. Here is another important point here. Suppose we are doing meditation, then we have to meditate on the qualities of great ones, not on their or what they are projecting themselves, or Mahatma bar bol rahe to think of these qualities. So meditation here means the superhuman, not supernatural qualities, or ownership in its highest spiritual power. So I'll go through this again to this blessed one, last paragraph of these sentences, and we will have a pause for 5 to 6 seconds. When the real nature of things becomes clear to the meditating bhikkhu, real nature of the things become clear to the meditating bhikkhu, then all his doubts fade away, since he has learned what is that nature, what its cause. Just meditate for a few seconds. Welcome back. Next point. From ignorance springs all the evils. You know, the most of the humanity, say about Krishna, according to Krishna, 82, 70 to 80% of whole humanity are ignorant. So from ignorance springs all the evils. Thank you. From knowledge, spiritual knowledge, divine knowledge, pragya, comes the cessation of this mass misery. That is important. Kindly meditate on it. From knowledge comes the cessation of this mass misery. Then the meditating Brahma stands dispelling the host of Mara, like the sun that illuminates the sky. Once you reach that level, that stage, each and every human being will reach that stage. When that stage you will reach, you will dispel the Mara, the host of Mara, like the sun that illuminates the sky. The rising sun and the dawn, when it starts, darkness it dispels. So like that, you will dispel the Maya, illuminate the sky. So thank you, brother. I close this and request Minakhi to complete this in Hindi translation. Then we will have a discussion. Thank you very much.
नमस्ते, थैंक यू ब्रदर महापात्र जी। आज हम लेटर नंबर 88 का अंतिम भाग ले रहे हैं। मास्टर बुराई के बारे में कहते हैं, भोजन, धन, महत्वाकांक्षा और हजारों अन्य चीजें जिन्हें उल्लेख किए बिना छोड़ना होगा, इन सब की प्रचुरता या उसका अभाव बुराई का स्रोत और कारण बन जाती है। पेटू अत्याचारी, व्याभिचारी बन जाओ और आप बीमारी, मानवी पीड़ा, यातना और दुख के जनक बन जाओगे। इन सब की कमी हो और आप इन सब से वंचित होगे, तब आपको नाकाबिल मानकर लोग तिरस्कार करेंगे और उनमें से अधिकांश लोग आपके साथी आपको जीवन भर दुखी पीड़ित मानेंगे। इसलिए न तो प्रकृति को दोष देना है और न ही किसी काल्पनिक देवता को, बल्कि मनुष्य के स्वार्थपरता को दोष देना है। आप इन बातों पर अच्छे से गौर करें, विचार करें। जितना आप सोच सके उतने बुराई के हर एक कार्य कारण पर विचार करें और उसके तह तक जाए और आप बुराई की 1/3 समस्या का समाधान कर लेंगे। लगभग 2/3 बुराइयों का सबसे बड़ा मुख्य कारण है, जो तब से मानवता का पीछा कर रही है जब से वह कारण सशक्त बना। यह किसी भी रूप में और किसी भी राष्ट्र में धर्म संप्रदाय है, धर्मोपदेशक, पुरोहित वर्ग और चर्च है। यह वे भ्रांतियां हैं जिन्हें मनुष्य पवित्र मानता है। उसे उस असंख्य बुराइयों के स्रोत की खोज करनी है जो मानवता के लिए बड़ा अभिशाप है और जो मानव जाति को लगभग अपने में डुबो देता है। अज्ञानता ने भगवान का निर्माण किया और धूर्त लोगों ने अवसर का फायदा उठाया। भारत को देखे और ईसाई जगत और इस्लाम को देखे, यहूदी धर्म और मूर्ति पूजा को देखे। यह पुरोहिती पाखंड है जिसने इन देवताओं को मनुष्य के लिए इतना भयावह बना दिया है। यह धर्म संप्रदाय ही है जो उसे स्वार्थी कट्टरपंथी बनाता है। वह धर्मांधी जो अपने धर्म से बिना कुछ अच्छा या नीति मूल्य अपनाए अपने संप्रदाय से बाहर की पूरी मानव जाति से घृणा करता है। यह भगवान और देवताओं में विश्वास है जो 2/3 मानवता को मुट्ठी भर लोगों का दास बना देता है, जो उन्हें बचाने के झूठे बहाने के तहत धोखा देते हैं। क्या मनुष्य कभी भी किसी भी प्रकार की बुराई करने के लिए तैयार नहीं होता है यदि उसे बताया जाए कि उसके भगवान या देवता की वह मांग है? काल्पनिक भगवान का स्वेच्छा से बना शिकार, धूर्त पुरोहितों का वह बेचारा दास, वह आयरिश, इटालियन, स्लोवेनिया का किसान अपने पादरी और पोप को खिलाने पिलाने और कपड़े दिलाने के लिए स्वयं भी भूखा रहेगा और अपने परिवार को भी बिना अन्न और कपड़ों के रखेगा। 2000 वर्षों से भारत जातिवाद के बोझ तले कराहता रहा। केवल ब्राह्मण पुरोहित वर्ग ही धन अर्जित करते रहे और वर्तमान काल में क्राइस्ट और मोहम्मद को मानने वाले अपने अपने मिथकों के नाम पर और उनकी महिमा के लिए एक दूसरे का गला काट रहे हैं। यदि याद रखे, समस्त मानवीय दुख उस दिन तक खत्म नहीं होंगे जब तक अधिकतर मानव जाति सत्य, नैतिकता और सार्वजनिक परोपकारिता के नाम पर अपने मिथ्यावादी देवताओं की वेदियों को नष्ट न कर दे। यदि इस पर आपत्ति की जाती है कि हमारे भी देवालय है, पुजारी है और हमारे लामा भी भिक्षा दान पर रहते हैं, तब उन्हें ज्ञात हो कि ऊपर दर्शाई गई बातों में उनके पश्चिमी प्रतिरूपों में केवल नाम में समानता है। इस प्रकार हमारे देवालयों में न तो किसी भगवान की और न ही देवताओं की पूजा की जाती है, केवल अब तक जन्मे सबसे पवित्रतम सत्पुरुष की पवित्रतम स्मृति की उपासना की जाती है। यदि हमारे लामा स्वयं हमारे तथागत बुद्ध द्वारा स्थापित भिक्षुओं के संघ के आदर में आम लोगों से भिक्षा प्राप्त करने के लिए बाहर जाते हैं, तब 5 से 25 हजार आम लोगों तक को संघ द्वारा भोजन कराया जाता है और उनकी देखभाल की जाती है। लामासरी द्वारा गरीब, बीमार, पीड़ितों की जरूरतों को पूरा किया जाता है। हमारे लामा भोजन स्वीकारते हैं, धन कभी नहीं स्वीकारते और उन्हीं मंदिरों में बुराई की उत्पत्ति का उपदेश दिया जाता है और लोगों को शिक्षित किया जाता है। वहां उन्हें 4 महान सत्य, आर्य सत्य सिखाए जाते हैं और कार्य कारण का सिद्धांत, 12 निदान उन्हें दुख की उत्पत्ति और उससे मुक्ति की समस्या का समाधान देता है। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि महावाक्य को पढ़े और पूर्वाग्रह ग्रस्त पश्चिमी दिमाग से नहीं बल्कि अंत प्रज्ञा और सत्य की भावना से समझने का प्रयास करे कि प्रथम खंडक में प्रबुद्धता प्राप्त तथागत गौतम बुद्ध क्या कहते हैं। तथागत बुद्ध निरंजरा निरोविगर नदी के किनारे उरुवेला में थे। समबुद्ध प्राप्ति के उपरांत वे बोधि वृक्ष के नीचे विश्राम कर रहे थे। 7वें दिन कार्य कारण की श्रृंखला पर ध्यान केंद्रित करते हुए उन्होंने यह वचन कहे, अविद्या से आचरण, वाणी, विचार के क्रिया संस्कार को जन्म देती है। क्रिया संस्कार चेतना या समझने के कार्य का कारण बनती है। चेतना से नाम रूप उत्पन्न होता है। नाम रूप 6 इंद्रियों का कारण बनता है। इंद्रिया भावना का कारण बनती है। भावना स्पर्श, भावना से संवेदना, संवेदना से तृष्णा या इच्छा, काम, तन्हा उत्पन्न होती है। तृष्णा से आसक्ति, अस्तित्व भाव, जन्म, बुढ़ापा और मरण, शोक, दुख, विलाप, पीड़ा, उदासी और निराशा उत्पन्न होते हैं। और फिर अविद्या की समाप्ति से संस्कार का अंत होता है और चेतना, नाम रूप, 6 इंद्रिया, भावना, संवेदना, तृष्णा, आसक्ति, अस्तित्व, जन्म, बुढ़ापा, मृत्यु, शोक, विलाप, पीड़ा, उदासी और निराशा समाप्त हो जाते हैं। इस तरह इस संपूर्ण दुख का अंत हो जाता है। यह ज्ञात होने पर तथागत ने यह महत्वपूर्ण वचन कहे। जब ध्यान करने वाले भिक्षु को चीजों का वास्तविक स्वरूप स्पष्ट हो जाता है, तब उसके सभी शंका संदेह दूर हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि उसने यह जान लिया है कि वह स्वरूप क्या है और उसका कारण क्या है। सभी बुराइयां अविद्या से उत्पन्न होती है, ज्ञान से दुखों का अंत होता है, और फिर संपूर्ण गगन को प्रकाशित करने वाले सूर्य की तरह ध्यान करने वाले ब्राह्मण मार की सेना को दूर कर देते हैं। यह ध्यान का अर्थ है अति मानवीय गुण या अपने उच्चतम आध्यात्मिक शक्तियों में अर्हतत्व सिद्धत्व। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for giving us this translation. And now we have the session open for discussion. So on this very important letter, if any of you have any points to share, if you would like to share your understanding or would like to clear any doubts, you are welcome to speak. No input from anybody? Pradeep ji, would you like to add some words at the end?
Vimalji. Yes,
Yes.
Vimal.
Actually, like, I just want to put out this question to everybody that what do you think is today's greatest evil? Because obviously, I mean, this analysis may be different for today, because in my viewpoint, the greatest evil that's happening today on earth is the extreme level of materialism and running after materialist like things, and creating the kind of garbage that we have created, and the extreme cruelty that all our animals and plant life, I mean all our marine life and all are undergoing. Like today I came across a video. There is this Vandana Shiva. She is an activist of the connected to the agriculture, and she says that in the US, because they don't want the chicken to peck each other, they burn the beaks of the chicks at 400 degrees. And they are doing genetic engineering to produce cows which do not have horns, because then they'll harm each other in the kind of animal farming that they're doing. So for me, like, I feel the greatest evil today is just too much materialistic goods, creating too much garbage, and really every human being appears to be chasing just short-term pleasure. So yeah, what anybody else has
Yes.
to say.
Nice of you, Vimalji. Actually, when Theosophical Society was formed, at that time the position was like that. Means crass materialism and also this misery, suffering, and also anthropomorphic goddesses, etc., etc. And at present is more. It is more a materialistic world. The people are more suffering. But you have been reading a lot of Krishnamurti teachings. But when I asked you, probably you are in that class, you are in that class. P. Krishna told me that 80-85% persons over the whole humanity, they are doing their work. Don't think over them, but you see, you being the world, you see how can you remove misery, evils from your consciousness? That is more important for you, because you are the world. Of course, he did not explain in this manner. He told me just ignore them. When I asked in a WhatsApp message, sir, what is this suffering going on? Ukraine and Russian war people are. No, Pradeepji, you just think of their division is so deep. then nobody can heal it. So just ignore it. So Bimalji, whatever you told, it is in fact true. But as an individual, we have to confine ourselves so that people will learn from us something. If we try to remove evil in our own way for amongst us, or for misery or whatever, by removing ignorance from within ourselves, then the world around us, they can understand better, I think. Because if we mark the evils, misery everywhere, it is so abundant, you cannot solve any problem unless you yourself solve your own problem. I think this is maybe you can say, Vibhaji can explain a little better.
Sir, thank you. I will just like to share my viewpoint on this. So yes, as rightly you have mentioned, Vimalji, that there is unspeakable cruelty being inflicted on all the kingdoms, man to man and man also to the lower kingdoms. And if you do this root cause analysis, you know, in management, it is called the fishbone diagram, just like this chain of Nidan, which was given. So if you go to the root cause, ultimately, I think it is selfishness, which causes man to inflict all these miseries on himself and also on the lower kingdoms. Now, this selfishness, it is not confined to individuals' selfishness. It can be a selfishness which spreads to community, a selfishness which arises at national level. So you see, it rises in level. A person can be selfish for his own self. A person can be selfish now, say for his business, as you mentioned, you know, those chickens and the calves and the cows, right? So that is for his business. You go to a larger level, it becomes a community level selfishness. You go to a higher level, it becomes a national level or a societal level selfishness. So that, I think, is the root cause. And as Pradip ji has rightly put it, we cannot attack at the highest level, or attack is not the right word. Let us say we cannot address it at the highest level. Let us begin from the root level. So personal selfishness should go first. Let us see what we can do. And then as each individual changes, I think it will change at the higher levels also.
Thank you, Pradeep ji and Vibha. Yeah, I think that's very nicely put. And I guess that ultimately we are only doing that. But what happens is on and off, one wonders, are we like getting worse by the day? Sometimes one sees all this and I mean, as a humanity, are we getting worse or are things getting better? You wonder about these things. But yes, ultimately it's self-work. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other point of discussion or questions?
Can I speak?
Yes, yes, please.
The origin of selfishness is ignorance. And Krishnaji says, consciousness is one. My consciousness is world consciousness. So if I correct here, it will be corrected there. The politicians say, you all become nice. But spirituality starts from correcting oneself.
Correct.
So as you and Pradipji said, little bit addition is that my consciousness is world consciousness. If I correct myself, I'm correcting the world. Thank you.
Very nicely put. Actually, I think the ideas are the same. It is just the way of putting them, or the choice of word is the words that are used. That is what differs. So it's rightly said. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Padma. Thank you. Thank you.
No, sir, namaskar.
Namaste, sir.
सर आज की टीचिंग में मुझे लास्ट पार्ट में ये लगा 3/4 पार्ट जो आज हुआ वो इसोटेरिक टीचिंग्स थी. इसको हमें डेली मेडिटेट करना चाहिए, उस पर कंसंट्रेट करना चाहिए, तो हमारी लाइफ में जो आगे जो ग्रो होना है उसमें सब पॉइंट कवर हो गए हैं. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Madhavji. Okay, Vibhaji, we will close now as there is no more participants.
Okay. So thank you all for joining. And with this, we come to the close of a very important letter. And it will be good for us if we read this letter and meditate over the points which are given on it. So we end the session with our closing prayer. Om Asito Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all for joining. Namaste.